90-Day Fiancé's Joan Kruchov is losing the fans that first supported her upon her arrival in America to marry Greg due to her atrocious behavior. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching for more details. Joan Kruchov from 90-Day Fiancé has quickly earned the title of the season's biggest villain, thanks to the gradual reveal of her darker side on camera. Hailing from Kampala, Uganda, Joan met Greg while he was vacationing there. Greg had traveled to Uganda on a whim after striking up a conversation with a fellow passenger on a flight, who happened to own a travel business in the country and encouraged him to visit. Greg later met Joan at the place he was staying, and while they initially connected, they fell out of contact for over a year. Greg met Joan within the first 30 minutes of arriving in Uganda, and they quickly bonded, especially after Greg opened up about his weight loss journey. What stood out, however, was how Joan managed to find him on Facebook and send him a friend request a full year later, seemingly out of the blue. Their online chats soon led to a long-distance relationship, and Greg eventually flew back to Uganda and proposed to her on her birthday. Now living in the US on a K-1 visa, Joan has repeatedly expressed regret about her decision to move and marry Greg. Joan's actions have left Greg's mom feeling rejected and worthless. Joan wanted to alter the wedding dress she had brought with her from Uganda, but with Greg away at work, she had no one to drive her. She turned to Lucille for help, asking if she could take her to the bridal shop. Lucille, though caught off guard, agreed, saying, "You're going to be my daughter-in-law, so I need to help you." Joan didn't have a driver's license and had grown accustomed to Greg driving her around. However, her request came at an inconvenient time, interrupting Lucille's cooking, adding subtle tension to the moment. Lucille was excited to see Joan in her wedding dress and saw it as a special moment that could bring them closer. She hoped the experience would be a bonding opportunity and tried to make small talk during the drive. Eventually, Lucille asked if Joan wanted her to come inside and help. "I'd love to, but I'm going to be talking to my family," Joan responded, politely but firmly. She explained that she wanted her family to be the first to see her in the dress, not wanting to hurt her sister's feelings by sharing the moment with someone else. On the other hand, Lucille's feelings were clearly hurt. She admitted to the cameras that she had been expecting to go into the bridal shop with Joan and felt blindsided when Joan told her she didn't need her. Despite her efforts to be supportive, Lucille was left feeling unappreciated. She confessed that Joan's dismissal made her feel rejected and just worthless, especially since she genuinely believed she could be there for her future daughter-in-law. As expected, Joan didn't offer an apology, leaving Lucille to silently cope with the sting of being excluded from a moment she had hoped to share. Joan wants a hefty dowry from unemployed Greg. Greg was expected to pay a traditional bride price to Joan's family before marrying her, a significant cultural requirement. Joan requested that he buy 15 cows, with each cow costing around 1.5 million Ugandan shillings, or approximately $200. That meant Greg would need to spend about $3,000 in total. Joan explained to producers that if Greg refused to pay the dowry, it would be seen as a sign of disrespect to her family and a betrayal of her late father's final wishes. "We can't get married," she said, fully aware that Greg was financially struggling and couldn't easily afford the dowry. Was Joan really successful and wealthy in her country? Joan also began pressuring Greg to move into their own apartment. She had originally planned to stay at his mother's house for just 3 to 6 months, but ended up staying longer due to Greg's financial struggles. Having viewed America as a land of opportunities, Joan felt increasingly disappointed. She urged Greg to man up and find a way to pay her dowry and secure a new place to live. Desperate for privacy, Joan didn't hesitate to ask Greg's mother to leave her own home so she and Greg could have the space to themselves. Greg was already struggling financially, with $8,000 in debt and the added burden of repeated trips to Uganda. While the show suggested Joan had a better quality of life in Uganda, viewers never saw that firsthand. She appeared to give up her career to move to the US, but did she ignore Greg's red flags, including his joblessness and the fact that he still lived with his mother? Many fans believe Joan knew exactly what she was doing. To them, the answer to what she sees in her 90-Day Fiancé partner is simple: a green card.